12:47 in the morning. This is not a good time in Brooklyn. This is the hour when the city finally goes quiet. Just before the first delivery trucks start their routes, it is the hour when nightmares feel real. Tonight, they are... My name is Aria Collins. I am a pediatric intensive care unit nurse, which means I am fluent in the language of crisis. I know the precise angle to insert an intravenous line into a vein you cannot even see. I know the sound of a lung collapsing. I know how to keep my hands steady when a heart monitor flatlines. But this is different. This is not my territory. This is my home. I am balled up in my own closet, wedged between a row of scrubs that smell like hospital antiseptic and my one good winter coat. My son, Milo, is asleep on my chest. He's 6 months old. His body is a solid, warm weight. His breath a tiny puff against my collarbone. He's the only thing that matters. The sound that woke me from my exhausted 2-hour sleep is happening again. It is not the groan of the building's ancient pipes. It is not the neighbors upstairs. It is the metallic click and scrape of a tool against the lock of my apartment door. Someone is picking it. My heart does not pound. It does what it does during a code blue. It squeezes, tight and cold, pushing adrenaline into my veins. Fight or flight. I reach for my phone. The screen illuminates the tiny space, flashing my own terrified face back at me. The battery icon is a sliver of red, 3%. The Wi-Fi signal is a joke, blinking weakly before disappearing. The router must be too far away, on the other side of the living room. I need help. I cannot call 911. It takes too long. The operators ask questions. My voice will carry. I pull up my text messages. My thumb is numb, shaking. I need Frank. Frank is my neighbor. Neighbor Frank Floor 4. The name is on a peeling magnet on my refrigerator, written in his own shaky cursive. He's retired. He smells like peppermint and complains about the recycling bins. He is harmless. He is safe. I punch the number in from memory. My fingers are clumsy. Did I get it right? I type the words, help, he is here. I hit send. The message hangs for a heart-stopping second. 3%. The delivered notification pops up. I hold my breath. Milo stirs, his little hand flexing against my shirt. My phone buzzes in my hand. The reply comes in 6 seconds. I have worked in an emergency room. 6 seconds is triage time. It is impossibly fast. Frank would still be looking for his reading glasses. I read the message. It is not from Frank. Which door? How many? There is no punctuation, no greeting. It is not a question. It is an order for information. The tone is flat, cold, and professional. It is military. It is dangerous. A cold dread washes over me, colder even than the fear of the man picking my lock. I look at the number I dialed. My thumb slipped. I transposed a digit. I sent a desperate plea for help to a complete stranger. I do not have time to regret it. A sound like a gunshot cracks through the apartment. It is the sound of my front door and the entire door jamb, splintering and giving way. Milo wakes up. His body tenses. His mouth opens in that perfect O that precedes a full-volume infant scream. No, 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 no. I cover his mouth with my palm, tasting my own salty sweat. I press him against my chest, rocking, whispering shh, shh, shh into his hair. It is the sound of pure terror. I hear them, heavy boots on the hardwood, more than one. Where is she? A voice, rough. A crash, my favorite lamp, the one my mother gave me. The sound of glass shattering. They are in the living room and they are tossing the cushions. No, she is not here. Check the back. They are coming toward the bedroom. My phone is still in my hand, 2% battery. What am I doing? I text the wrong number again. It is insane. It is the only lifeline I have, even if it is attached to a shark. I type the code for the service elevator at the end of the hall, 4771. My fingers are shaking so hard I have to type it twice. I add stairwell B now. I do not know why I am giving orders. I just know I need to get Milo out. I hear them in my bedroom. A drawer is ripped from my dresser and thrown. Nothing. I slide the closet door open, millimeter by millimeter. The air is cold, the hallway light is flickering, a strobe effect on my own terror. The main elevator is dinging, a repetitive, useless sound. It is broken. The building is falling apart around me. I clutch Milo, his face buried in my neck. He is quiet now. Sensing my panic, I run. My bare feet slap against the cold floor. I am out of the apartment. The hallway is empty. I reach the service elevator. I punch the button. The panel is dark. Nothing. The grinding sound I heard earlier. It is stuck between floors. The air is trapped in my lungs. I cannot breathe. This is a setup. The broken elevator, the flickering lights. And then I hear it, not from the hallway, from the stairwell. Stairwell B. Heavy boots, climbing, fast. My text message, stairwell B, now. The wrong number is coming. But the men from my apartment, I hear them too. They are in the hallway. They heard me leave. I am trapped between them. I duck back inside my own shattered apartment. It is a war zone. My pictures are smashed. My sofa is overturned. Weapon, weapon. I am a nurse. I save lives. I do not take them, but I am a mother. That comes first. My eyes scan the wreckage. The ironing board is tipped over. Beside it, the iron. It is heavy. It has a solid metal base. I grab it, the cord wrapping around my wrist. I stand behind the broken remains of my door. I raise the iron. Yes, this is it. This is the stand I make. Aria Collins, pediatric intensive care unit nurse, about to defend her son with a Sunbeam steam iron. The dark, hysterical humor of it is a bubble in my throat. The footsteps in the stairwell stop. They are just outside. Complete silence. Then 3 knocks. Knock, knock, knock. It is not the sound of a rescuer. It is not the sound of the police. It is the sound of someone who owns the very air he breathes. The ruined door is pushed open, scraping the floor. He fills the doorway. He is tall, impossibly tall. He wears a black tailored overcoat that probably costs more than my student loans. It hangs open over a suit that is so sharp it could cut glass. He steps into the flickering light of my apartment. His hair is black, thick. His jaw is severe. He's younger than I expected, 34, maybe 35. And under the crisp, white collar of his shirt, I see it ink, the intricate swirling lines of a classic tattoo, dark against his skin, disappearing down his neck. He's not alone. 2 other men, built like refrigerators, file in behind him. They do not look at me. They scan the room. The man's eyes find me. He sees Milo, clutched in one arm. He sees the iron, raised in my other hand. His expression does not change. He does not smile. He does not even blink. "Drop it," he says. His voice is low, a gravelly rumble. Before I can answer, before I can obey or scream, there is a shout from the kitchen. It is her, "Get the kid." The 2 masked men charge out of the darkness. The man in the coat does not even turn. He simply takes 1 step to the side, placing his body between me and them. The 2 men behind him move. They are not men. They are machines. It is not a fight. It is an execution. There is a flash, a deafening pop that echoes in the small room. Then another. Smoke stings my eyes, burns my lungs. Milo screams, a raw, terrified sound that tears through me. It is over in less than 5 seconds. The 2 masked men are on my floor. They are not moving. The silence that follows is absolute, broken only by my son's desperate crying. The tall man turns back to me. He steps over the body of one of the intruders as if it is a puddle of water. He walks toward me. I'm still holding the iron. My arm is shaking, but I do not lower it. He stops, just out of reach. He looks at me, and his eyes, they are not cold. They are something else, calculating, assessing. He takes a slow, deliberate breath. My vision is tunneling. The adrenaline that held me up is gone, leaving a black, rushing void, the smell of smoke and something metallic. The floor is tilting. My last thought, as my knees buckle and the world fades to black, is completely, utterly insane. Frank changes clothes really fast. I wake up to the smell of coffee. good coffee, not the burnt tar I drink in the hospital break room. This is rich, expensive. My eyes crack open. The light is wrong. It is not the harsh fluorescent of the pediatric intensive care unit, and it is not the gray city light of my own bedroom. This is soft, morning light pouring through massive floor-to-ceiling windows. I am on a sofa. It is leather, and it is so soft I feel like I'm sinking into it. A cashmere blanket is draped over me. I sit up too fast. The room spins. Easy. The voice. The low, gravelly voice from my apartment. I am not in Brooklyn. I am in a penthouse. The view is all of Manhattan, spread out like a carpet of diamonds. And he is here. He's standing by the window. The long coat is gone. He's in his shirt sleeves, rolled up to the elbows, revealing forearms covered in intricate ink. He's holding my son. My heart stops. I scramble off the sofa. Milo. He turns, and he's holding Milo against his shoulder, one huge tattooed hand spread across my son's tiny back. He's patting him. But he is not just patting. I watch his hand. Pat, pat, pat. Pause. Pat, pat, pat. Pause. He's using the 4-7-8 rhythm, the calming technique from the neonatal handbook, the one I use to settle babies after a painful procedure. And Milo, who should be screaming for me, is quiet. His eyes are wide, and he is watching the man with simple, baby curiosity. The man looks at me. His eyes are the color of the coffee I smell, dark, sharp, and hot. He was fussy, he says, as if this is perfectly normal. He needed a change. The bag you packed is by the door. He holds my son for one more second. Then he walks toward me and gently, so gently, places Milo in my arms. I clutch Milo to my chest. I check him. 10 fingers, 10 toes. He's warm. He's safe. He just looks a little confused. I finally look at the man who is not Frank. "Who are you?" My voice is a croak. He straightens his shirt cuff. He gestures to my phone, which is charging on a marble side table. It is at 100%. "You texted the wrong number," he says. I know. "Who are you?" He watches me. He's not just looking. He's analyzing. He's taking inventory. "Nico Moretti," he says. The name hits me like a physical blow. Nico Moretti, not just a name. It is a name from the headlines, the one the newspapers whisper about. The new boss of the Little Italy logistics, the man who made the old families look like children. I texted the Mafia. He must see the recognition, the new wave of terror on my face, because he does something unexpected. He smiles. It is not a nice smile. It is the kind of smile that does not reach his eyes. It is the kind of smile that belongs to a predator, a man who owns rooms like this, a man who orders executions in apartments like mine. It is a smile that no one should ever trust. But my son, my 6-month-old son, is burbling happily in my arms, safe and sound, smelling faintly of this man's expensive cologne, and I, Aria Collins, am completely and terrifyingly in his debt. My head is swimming. Nico Moretti. I am sitting in a penthouse that probably costs more than my entire medical school debt, holding my son, while a mafia boss watches me. I am Aria Collins. I am 28 years old. I am a nurse in the pediatric intensive care unit at St. Gabriel's Hospital. My job is to manage the unmanageable. I am trained for codes, for emergencies, for the precise calculations that keep a premature baby breathing. I trust protocols. I trust charts. I trust the system. At least I used to. My life is supposed to be simple, endless night shifts, coffee that tastes like burnt asphalt, and the sweet, milky smell of my son. Milo is my world. His father, Derek Hale, decided fatherhood was not for him right around the time I hit the second trimester. He vanished. Now, suddenly, he's been texting me, wanting to be near his son. His timing, as always, is terrible. But Derek is just a garden variety disappointment. This man, Nico Moretti, is something else entirely. The media hates him. The tabloids paint him as a ruthless New Age Don, cleaning up Little Italy's logistics. moving cargo through the ports with terrifying efficiency. The older generation, though, I have seen them in the neighborhood. They kiss his hand. They respect him. He is the man the papers hate and the grandmothers adore. And I just invited him into my life. My mind races, trying to understand the mistake. The number, neighbor Frank, floor 4. It was on a note from Mrs. Petrov, my elderly neighbor. She said it was for Frank, the building security. I never called it. I found out later. Much later that the building management had changed security companies the week before. They changed the number. They slid a memo under everyone's door. But in the blur of night shifts and diaper changes, I never saw it. I do not know whose number I texted, but it was not Frank's. I close my eyes, and I am back in the closet. The men who broke in, they were not junkies. They were not common burglars. Burglars are quiet. They take the television and the jewelry. These men were loud. They were looking for something specific. For me. And the smell. It was not just sweat. It was gasoline. A faint, chemical smell, like they had been in a garage or a workshop. They wore masks, but I saw their jackets. A small, embroidered logo, a moving company. They were professionals. My brain, the nurse part of my brain, starts triage. It starts connecting data points that seemed random before. One, a picture on my friend's social media feed 2 weeks ago. Derek Hale, my ex, smiling at a bar. Next to him, smiling back, was a woman named Kara Finch, an assistant district attorney. 2, at the hospital in the pediatric intensive care unit nutrition room, I saw a shipping carton of Milo's specific formula. The security seal, the paper tab, had been pulled off and then pressed back on. It looked tampered with. I reported it. Nothing happened. 3, the elevator camera in my building. When I left for my shift 2 days ago, there was a piece of black tape stuck over the lens. I assumed it was vandalism. These thoughts are spinning as Nico Moretti watches me check Milo. He does not interrupt. He lets me be a mother. When I finally look up, satisfied that Milo is unharmed, he looks at the sofa. Lie down. What? Lie down, he orders. My body moves before my brain can protest. I am exhausted. I lie back against the soft leather. Nico Moretti gently, professionally, places Milo on my chest. He positions my son so his bare skin is against my own, separated only by my thin pajama shirt. Skin to skin. It is the first thing we do in the pediatric intensive care unit for stabilization. It regulates temperature, heart rate, and breathing. This mafia boss is practicing kangaroo care. Milo settles instantly, his cheek pressed against my sternum, his tiny fists uncurling. Now you are stable, Nico says. He will sleep. You should eat. He turns to the kitchen. This kitchen is enormous, all stainless steel and dark wood. He picks up the diaper bag, the one I packed with panicked, shaking hands last night. He pulls out Milo's bottle and the container of formula. I watch him. I am ready to criticize, to take over. Mothers are territorial, nurses are worse. He does not guess. He reads the label. He fills the bottle with water from a high-tech kettle, checking the temperature on his wrist, not his inner wrist, his outer wrist. He scoops the powder. 2 level scoops. Exactly right. He swirls the bottle. He does not shake it. Shaking creates air bubbles. Air bubbles cause gas. Gas causes a screaming infant. He just knows. He hands the bottle to me. I maneuver Milo into the crook of my arm. Infant care is physics. Satnyot, he says. His voice is flat. Where did you learn that, I ask. My voice tight. He looks at Milo, who is now drinking peacefully, and his expression flickers. It is not sadness. It is an echo. I learn what is necessary. The silence in the room is deafening. I am feeding my son, skin to skin, in a gangster's penthouse. My phone buzzes. It is on the table, fully charged. It is Elena. Elena Ruiz, my best friend since nursing school. She joined the New York Police Department. She is tough, smart, and one of the few people I trust. I grab the phone. The text says, Aria. I heard scanners. A wellness check at your address. I am on my way. Do not call 911. I repeat, do not call 911 about last night. There is a leak. Someone in the system is monitoring victim addresses. A leak. My blood runs cold. I trusted the system. I trusted the police. But the system is broken. The system is compromised. The system might have been the source of the attack. I look up at Nico Moretti. He's the mafia. He's the antithesis of the system. And he is the only reason Milo and I are alive. He's still looking out the window, his hands clasped behind his back. He's giving me space, but he is also guarding the exit. I am safe. I am also a prisoner. My eyes drift to his right wrist, the one he used to test the water. There is a cut. It is not a paper cut. It is a shallow, precise slice, about 2 inches long. It is fresh. It is already stitched. Not hospital stitches. These are tight, efficient, battlefield style. I am a nurse. I know wounds. That cut is from last night. My brain replays the sequence of events. I texted help and he is here. 6 seconds later, the reply, which door? How many? But I did not text my address. I did not text my apartment number. He just showed up. My voice is a whisper. You were already there. Nico Moretti turns around. He does not deny it. He does not even look surprised. You were already in my building, before I even texted help. He nods slowly. The cut, I say, pointing with a shaking finger. You got that in my building before you came to my apartment. Stairwell A, he says. A small disagreement. How did you know, I demand? How did you know to be there? He cocks his head, a gesture of mild curiosity. You told me to be. I did not. I texted Frank. I texted the wrong number. I texted you. Yes, Gammy says, I texted help. He is here. He shakes his head. No, that was the second message. My blood turns to ice. What? He walks slowly toward me. Stopping a few feet away, he holds out his phone. I look at the screen. It is our text exchange. He is right. At 12:46 in the morning, 1 minute before the break-in, I sent a text. My fingers must have been flying, mashing the numbers I thought were Frank's, hitting send in pure panic. But the text does not say help. It says which door, how many. My blood pressure drops and I feel the floor tilt. I did not send that. I would never send that. I must have. I do not know. My fingers slipped. You sent that, he says, his voice patient, as if explaining physics to a child. I was already in the neighborhood. I assumed it was a setup, but I responded, I came. I was in stairwell A when your second text arrived. He points to the next message on his screen. My text help. He is here. His reply, the one I remembered as the first which door, how many? My reply, 4771 stairwell B, now. I was panicking, I whisper, trying to make sense of it. I do not even know what that means. Which door? How many? It is nonsense. Nico Moretti puts his phone away. He looks at me, and his gaze is intense, sharp enough to draw blood. It is not nonsense, Arya. He pauses, letting the weight of the silence press down. It is one of my internal codes. My brain stalls, trying to process the words. An internal code. Nico Moretti watches me, his expression unreadable. It is a signal phrase, one of several. The number you dialed is 1 digit off from a burner phone used in my on-call driver rotation. Someone was waiting for that specific signal, from that specific number sequence. I shake my head, the fog of exhaustion and terror making it hard to think. Waiting for me. No, he says, his voice cutting through my confusion. Waiting for me. The men in your apartment were not there for you. Arya, not at first. They were there for me. They were using you as bait. The pieces slam into place, forming a picture that makes me sick. It was a trap. They knew someone would dial that number eventually. No, he says again, a flicker of impatience in his dark eyes. They knew I would respond. They were forcing my hand, making me expose my position. Your panic text, the one you thought you were sending to Frank, was a coincidence. A terrible, perfect coincidence that sprung their trap and identified you as the trigger. I am a trigger, a random civilian, a single mother, now the centerpiece of a mafia war. My nurse's mind, always running checklists, provides a new, unwelcome thought. The men in my apartment, the gasoline smell, the moving company jackets. Professionals, he confirms, not just burglars. They were there to ambush whoever responded to that text. Me. When you sent the help message, you confirmed you were inside. When you sent the stairwell code, you told them exactly where to wait. He gestures to the stitched cut on his wrist. I met the first one in stairwell A. I am not just in danger, I am the danger. My mistake, my single slipped digit, has painted a target on my back and on my son. As if summoned by the thought, my phone buzzes again on the table. It is not Elena. It is a new text. My heart seizes, but the name on the screen is hers, Elena Ruiz. I read the message, and the floor drops out from under me for the second time in 12 hours. Aria, bad news. Someone filed an anonymous complaint against you with Child Protective Services. They are alleging an unsafe home environment and endangerment of a minor. What? I whisper. Nico tenses. What is it? Child Protective Services, I say, my voice shaking with a new kind of rage. Someone called them anonymously. They are opening a case. They want to do an inspection. This week. This is not a coincidence. This is a coordinated attack. They sent men with weapons, and when that failed, they sent men with clipboards. The system. They are using the system I believed in to take my son. Before I can even process this new assault, there is a quiet knock on the penthouse's main door. It is not a visitor's knock. It is an employee's. One of Nico's refrigerator-sized men, the one who drove us here, enters. He holds a large, manila envelope. He hands it to Nico and disappears. Nico does not open it. He just looks at the front, where my name is written in black marker. He holds it out to me. My hands are trembling so hard I can barely take it. It is not sealed. I pull out the contents. It is a legal document, a court filing. Petition for modification of custody. My eyes scan the pages, the dense, unreadable legal text, until I find the signature line at the end. Derek Hale, my son's father, the man who has not seen Milo since he was a grainy ultrasound picture. He is petitioning for full custody. The envelope, the Child Protective Services call, the break-in. This is not a series of unfortunate events. This is an organized, multi-front war, and I am losing. A cold, sharp thought cuts through the panic, the formula, the tampered seal at St. Gabriel's. I have to go, I say, my voice suddenly clear and hard. I stand up, holding Milo, who is now stirring, sensing my agitation. Nico cocks his head. Go where? To my job, to the hospital. I look him dead in the eye. Nurse to mafia boss, mother to whatever he is. The formula that Milo uses, a specific batch, it is at the hospital. I saw a tampered case. I think it is contaminated. They are trying to poison babies. I have to warn them. I have to stop them. He is silent for a long moment. He's calculating. No, he says. No. My voice rises. You do not understand. There are children, sick children, in that unit. I will not let them be hurt because of whatever this is my life, my job. You do not control me. They are waiting for you there, he says simply. It is the most obvious place for you to go. You are walking back into the trap. Then I will walk into it, I am shouting now, the hysteria I have held back finally breaking free. I am a nurse. I will not let children die. Nico watches me, his face a mask of stone. Then he nods once. Fine, we will go. The trip to St. Gabriel's is a blur. We are in a black armored sport utility vehicle that looks more like a tank than a car. Nico drives. Another man sits in the passenger seat. I sit in the back, holding Milo in his car seat, my knuckles white. When we get there, the men in suits are suddenly just everywhere. They are not in the lobby. They are parking valets. They are security guards. They are men reading newspapers. He has an army. Go, he orders. Do what you have to do. We are on the clock. 10 minutes. I run. I do not wait for the elevator. I take the stairs. Milo's car seat banging against my hip. I burst through the doors of the pediatric intensive care unit. It is quiet, the sacred beep and hush quiet of a place where children are fighting for their lives. And I see it. Trisha, a new nurse, is at the nutrition station. She's preparing a feeding. In her hand is a can of formula from the contaminated batch. Stop, I yell. She jumps, spilling water. Aria, what are you doing here? It is your day off. I do not explain. I cross the room and grab the can from her hand. Do not use this. This batch is poison. Get Dr. Patel. Get her right now. My voice carries. Heads turn. Monitors seem to beep louder. Dr. Patel is out of her office in seconds. She's a woman I respect, a clinician who trusts her nurses. Aria, what is this? This batch, Dr. Patel, it is compromised. I saw a broken seal 2 days ago. I just received information. It is part of a larger threat. We have to pull every can, now, from this unit, from maternity, from the whole hospital. She sees the look in my eyes, the raw, undiluted certainty. She does not argue. She does not ask questions. She nods. Trisha, she says, her voice steel. Call Central Supply. Lockdown lot number 481B, all of it, now. Aria in my office. I have done it. The babies are safe. The relief is so profound it makes me dizzy. I walk out of the unit, back into the hall. Nico is standing there by the stairwell, as if he knew I would be at this exact spot. He grabs my arm, not gently. Time's up. We are back in the sport utility vehicle before I can catch my breath. I'm not going back to that penthouse, I say, my teeth chattering. I am a target. You said so. We are not, he says, pulling the vehicle into the chaotic Brooklyn traffic. Where are you taking me? This is kidnapping, Nico. It is temporary, he says, his eyes on the road. They saw your face last night. They know where you live. And as of 5 minutes ago, they know you are willing to go to work. We are going somewhere they do not. We drive for 20 minutes, deep into Carroll Gardens, a neighborhood of beautiful, historic brownstones and tree-lined streets. It is quiet. It feels safe. He pulls up to one. It is perfect, with a wrought iron fence and flowers in the window boxes. This is not a safe house, I say. It is better, he replies. It is my aunt's. He leads me inside. The house smells like garlic and old-world comfort. It is warm. It is a home. An older woman, stout and dressed entirely in black, bustles out of the kitchen, wiping her hands on an apron. She takes one look at me, at Milo, and at Nico. She slaps Nico on the arm, hard. You're late for Sunday dinner, she scolds him in a thick Italian accent. And you look terrible. Girl, you look worse. Sit. She does not wait for an answer. She takes Milo from my arms, her touch practiced and sure. She is a grandmother, a Nona. This is Nona Rosa, Nico says, rubbing his arm. Nona Rosa coos at Milo, who, surrounded by warmth and the smell of food, smiles at her. She looks at me. You are too thin. You need sugar. Sugar makes the heart strong. She disappears into the kitchen and returns with a plate. On it are 2 perfect, beautiful cannoli, dusted with powdered sugar. I look at the pastry. I look at this woman. I look at the mafia boss standing in her foyer. And despite the terror, despite the threat, despite the fact that my entire life is imploding, I feel a hysterical laugh bubble in my chest. I do not laugh, but I smile. Thank you, I say. My phone buzzes. The new happy feeling evaporates. I look down. It is a number I do not recognize. A text message. I open it. It is a picture. It is Milo. He is in Nona Rosa's arms, but the picture is not taken from inside the house. It is taken from outside, through the front window. The angle is high, from a rooftop across the street. My blood turns to ice. Below the picture, one line of text. Choose a side. I cannot breathe. They are here. They followed us. They are watching us right now. Nico sees my face. He takes the phone from my shaking hand. His eyes scan the image, the text. The warmth he showed his aunt is gone. His face becomes a mask of cold, controlled fury. He looks at me, and his voice is low, absolute. This ends now. He does not give me a choice. He states a fact. You will choose safety first. We will have arguments later. I hate it. I hate him for saying it. I hate that he is right. I hate that he is taking control. This is not protection. This is possession. But I look at Milo, gurgling in Nonna Rosa's arms. I look at the picture on the phone, the sniper's eye view of my son. Possession for now is the only thing keeping him alive. I nod. For Milo. The phone in Nico's hand is a black mirror, reflecting my own terrified face. He does not look at the photo of my son. He looks at the text beneath it. Choose a side. They are fast, he says. The words are calm, but his voice is a low, flat line of controlled rage. He turns and walks to the front window, ignoring the fact that a sniper is actively watching him. He looks up, scanning the rooftops. Get away from the window, I hiss. He is gone, Nico says. That was a message, not an attack. They want us to know they are here. He turns back to me, and the mask of the polite stranger is gone. This is Nico Moretti. The man watching this house is named Luca Serra. He begins to talk, and the world I thought I knew dissolves. He lays it out with the cold precision of a surgeon, explaining a fatal diagnosis. Luca Serra is a capo, a younger, more brutal player who wants what Nico controls the ports, the logistics. He's not alone, Nico says, pacing the expensive rug. He's partners with a developer named Graham Voss. Voss wants the waterfront real estate, but my contracts are in his way, and they have a guardian angel. My mind flashes to the picture on my friend's social media feed. Kara Finch! Nico stops pacing. He looks at me, a flash of genuine surprise. How do you know that name? She is an assistant district attorney. My ex, Derek, was in a picture with her. Nico nods, the pieces clicking into place for him. Finch is running for district attorney. She needs a high-profile win. She is using Sarah and Voss to fund her campaign, and in return, she is helping them dismantle my organization. They are attacking you to get to me. But they failed, I say, my voice small. You got us out. That was phase 1, and he says. The men in your apartment. Phase 2 is already in motion. The Child Protective Services complaint, the media, and Derek. My stomach clenches. What about Derek? They found him, Nico says. They offered him a deal, $50,000, and they would wipe away all his gambling debts. I feel sick. Derek was always weak, but this is a new low. What did he have to do? 2 things, Nico says. First, file for full custody of Milo, alleging you are an unfit mother. Second, he pauses, and I know this part is worse. He had to sign delivery manifests. For the contaminated formula at St. Gabriel's, he signed them, Aria. He signed your name, claiming you were the nurse who received and approved the shipment. The air leaves my lungs. I'm not just a target. I am the scapegoat. They tried to poison children, and they are using my son's father to frame me for it. The brownstone, once a symbol of my imprisonment, now feels like the only shield I have. But I am not a guest. I am a tactical liability. If I am to survive here, it has to be on my terms. That evening, I find Nico in the study. Nonna Rosa is in the kitchen, the sounds of her cooking a strange comfort. If I'm staying here, I say, and my voice is steadier than I feel, I have rules. He looks up from a ledger, his eyebrow raised. Rules. Rule 1, I say. You do not touch me. Not my arm, not my back, nothing unless I specifically ask you to. Rule 2, I continue, ignoring the muscle tightening in his jaw. You do not give me orders. You are not my boss. You are not my keeper. You can ask. You can advise. But you do not command. This is not protection if I am just your prisoner. He stands up. He's so much taller than I am. a wall of expensive tailoring and quiet menace. He wants to argue. I can see the no forming on his lips. Nona Rosa appears in the doorway, holding a wooden spoon. He will ask, "Aria, will you not, Nicola?" Nico looks from his aunt back to me. He unclenches his jaw and gives a sharp, reluctant nod. "I will ask." Life settles into a rhythm that is profoundly, dangerously bizarre. I am a pediatric intensive care unit nurse living in a mafia safe house. Nona Rosa teaches me how to make sauce from scratch. Nico's men, shadows in dark suits, patrol the perimeter. One afternoon, I'm sitting on the floor, trying to get Milo to finish a bottle. Nico is in the adjacent dining room, on a tense phone call, pacing back and forth. He's wearing another one of his immaculate dark suits. It probably cost $5,000. Milo, with the sudden, chaotic energy of a 6-month-old, bats at the bottle. It flies out of my hand. It flips end over end in a perfect milky arc. It lands directly on Nico's chest. He freezes mid-sentence. The bottle clatters to the floor. A huge white stain of formula explodes across the front of his pristine jacket. The entire house goes silent. The phone call ends. Even Nona Rosa, who is dusting a nearby shelf, stops. Nico looks down at the milk dripping onto his polished shoes. He looks at me. Milo, unaware of the tension, lets out a delighted giggle. Nico stares at the stain. A muscle in his jaw works, as if he is trying to calculate the damage. Then, slowly, he looks at Milo. A smile cracks his stony expression. It is not his predator smile. It is a genuine, surprised, human smile. "He has good aim," Nico says. Nona Rosa erupts in a deep, throaty laugh. The men at the door look away, hiding their own amusement. I cannot help it. I start laughing, a sharp, hysterical sound of pure relief. The tension that has been choking this house for days breaks. He is just a man, covered in baby formula. The outside world does not stay out for long. I get a secure message from Elena Ruiz. It is not good. "Aria, be careful." She writes, "I did some digging. The leak is not just in the system, it is physical. It is inside the Child Protective Services records room. Someone is altering the intake reports after they are filed. Anything you say to a caseworker, any defense you give, it will be twisted against you. Do not talk to them. Only use objective evidence. Photos, timestamps, recordings. Objective evidence. The words echo in my head. I think about the formula, the tampered seal, Derek signing my name. Nico, I say that night, I need a computer, one that cannot be traced back to this house. He provides a laptop within minutes. I log into the St. Gabriel's internal logistics portal. As a senior nurse, I have clearance to view shipments. I pull up the records for the contaminated batch. I find the shipping label, the quick response code. I scan it with the phone. The manifest pops up warehouse. Graham Voss Industries. But something is wrong. The code on the digital image looks fuzzy, thicker than usual. I zoom in. It is a sticker. A sticker has been placed perfectly over the original quick response code. My heart hammers. I dig deeper. Pulling the original purchase order from the manufacturer, I find the original code. I scan it. A different manifest appears. Destination Moretti Logistics, Nico's main hub. They did it, I whisper, my blood running cold. They diverted your clean shipment. They replaced it with the contaminated one. And they put a fake label on the box, pointing to their own warehouse to frame you. But they used Derek to frame me. I need proof. Not just digital shadows. I need to track the path. I need to call Dr. Patel. I tell Nico, I use a burner phone. Rena, it is Aria. I need you to do something, and you cannot ask why. The contaminated lot, and wait, I need you to keep one case. Seal it, lock it in compliance. Do not let it be destroyed. Dr. Rena Patel is a good doctor. She trusts her nurses. Consider it done. Aria, be safe. I turn to Nico. They are going to ship another batch. They have to. I need a data logger. A small one, GPS and temperature enabled. He raises an eyebrow. You are planting a tracker. I am collecting objective evidence. I counter. He studies me, then nods. If you are going to do that, you need to meet Sophia. A woman enters the room. She moves with a silent, economical grace that is nothing like the brute force of Nico's other men. She is lean, sharp, and her eyes miss nothing. Sophia Mancini, she says. Her voice is flat. Head of security. Sophia does not like me. I am a civilian, a variable she cannot control, a liability. The boss says you are determined to be a target, She says, sitting across from me, fine, here are 3 rules for urban survival. 1. Always check reflections, glass, puddles, phone screens, watch who is watching you. 2. Never take the same route twice, ever. 3. If you are followed, do not go home, go public. A crowd is your best armor. She hands me a small burner phone. It has 1 button. That is our save our ship code. You press it for 3 seconds, we come. Do not use it unless you are actively dying. It compromises us all. The power dynamic is suffocating. I am a burden. Later that night, Milo is fussy. Nona Rosa is asleep. Sophia is in the kitchen, methodically cleaning a handgun. The pieces laid out on a cloth. Milo will not settle, and he's overtired, wailing with that high, thin cry that grates on the nerves. I pick him up, put him on my shoulder, and begin to pat his back. Pat, 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 pause. Pat, 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 pause. Sophia stops cleaning. She watches my hand. What is that? The 4-7-8 rhythm, I say, my voice tired. It mimics the resting heart rate, calms the vagus nerve. It is physics. She watches. Milo's crying softens, hitches, then stops. He sighs, his body going limp against me. I look at her, at the lethal weapon broken down on the table. You know how to use that. Do you know how to use an ambu bag? Do you know how to clear an infant's airway if he chokes? She just stares. My turn to teach, I say. For the next hour, I teach Nico Moretti's head of security how to perform neonatal resuscitation. A strange, fragile respect forms in the quiet of the kitchen. The war, however, continues to escalate. Sophia brings Nico a tablet. We have a problem, the media. It is a blog, a popular, local Brooklyn mommy blog. The headline is sensational. St. Gabriel's nurse linked to mob boss sources say yes. Below it is a picture. It is me. I am holding Milo, standing by the window of the brownstone. It is grainy, taken from a long distance, from the sniper's perch. They are painting me as an unfit mother. I whisper, this is Kara Finch's attack. This is the ammunition for Child Protective Services. Nico's face is granite. I can make this go away. I can shut her down. No, I say, my voice sharp. If you do, it proves her point. It makes me look guilty. It looks like you are threatening a journalist. He looks at me, the question clear in his eyes. So what do? We hide? I move you again. I think of Elena's words. Objective evidence. I think of the data logger. No, we do not hide. We face them. I need to get to the hospital. I need to plant that logger. It is the only way. They both argue. Nico forbids it. Sophia calls it tactical suicide. Nona Rosa just makes the sign of the cross. I am not a princess in a tower, I finally snap. My patience gone. I am the only one who can fix this. You said safety first. This is the only way we get safe. We go that night, not in Nico's armored sport utility vehicle. It is too conspicuous. We take Sophia's anonymous gray sedan. Nico drives. Sophia is in the passenger seat. I am in the back, my arm wrapped protectively around Milo's car seat. We are almost there. We pull into the hospital's multi-level parking garage. It is late, near midnight, and the concrete cavern is mostly empty. Suddenly, there is a loud bang. The car lurches violently, pulling hard to the right. Tire, Nico growls. Blown. He stops the car under a flickering fluorescent light. Stay here, Sophia orders, her hand already on her weapon. She gets out of the car to check the damage. Nico is not looking at the tire. He's scanning the garage, his eyes moving, checking every shadow, every concrete pillar. And then I see it. A tiny, perfect, brilliant red dot. It is on the dashboard. It moves. It sweeps across the passenger seat where Sophia was sitting. It moves toward the back. It crawls onto the plastic shell of Milo's car seat. "Laser!" I scream. "Nico, laser, he is on Milo." Nico does not hesitate. He does not think. He reacts. He slams the car into reverse. The engine roars. The tires scream, the damaged one flapping uselessly on the rim. He throws the car backward. A shot rings out, deafening in the enclosed space. The passenger window explodes into a spider web of glass. Nico wrenches the wheel. He's not aiming for the exit ramp. He's aiming for the thin, metal barrier at the edge of the parking level. We crash backward through it. The sound of tearing metal is horrific. Sophia is already moving. She is on her feet, outside the car, firing upward toward the source of the shot. 2, 3, 4 pops, fast and controlled. As if summoned, a black Range Rover appears from the ramp below. Skidding to a halt, it angles itself perfectly. A high metal shield between our car and the sniper's position. It is Nico's backup. Nico throws our smoking sedan into drive. "Get out!" he yells at Sophia. Sophia is already ripping my door open. "Move, move, move!" I unbuckle Milo, pulling the entire carrier against my chest. We pile out of the sedan and into the back of the Range Rover. Nico is the last one in. The back window of the Range Rover shatters as he slams the door. We peel out of the garage, leaving chaos, smoking tires, and shell casings behind us. I am hyperventilating, my hands checking Milo. He's crying, terrified by the noise, but he is safe. I look at Nico. He's breathing hard, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. "You said," I gasp, "that I was a target. You did not say I was bait for a sniper." He looks at me in the rearview mirror, his eyes black holes of fury. "Welcome to my world, Aria." The sniper attack in the garage broke something in me. The illusion of safety was gone. We race back to the brownstone, the city lights blurring into streaks of terror. Milo cried in the back seat, a high, thin wail that mirrored the scream in my own chest. Back inside, Nonna Rosa took Milo, her hands steady as she checked him, murmuring in Italian. Sophia Mancini was cleaning her weapon. Nico was on the phone, his voice a low, lethal snarl. I was the weak link. I was the liability. They had tried to kill me to stop me from planting the data logger. Nico hung up. "It is done. You are not leaving this house." "No," I said. My voice was quiet, but it cut through the room. He turned. "Aria, this is not a negotiation. You saw what happened. They are hunting you." "They are hunting me because I am close to the evidence." I said, "They expect me to hide. They expect me to be a terrified mother. They do not expect me to be a nurse." I looked at Sophia. She had stopped cleaning her gun. "You go." She raised an eyebrow. "I go where?" "To St. Gabriel's. They were watching me. They will not be watching you. You are a ghost. You can get in. You can plant that logger on the next shipment. They will not expect us to double down." Nico started to object. "I will not send her." Sophia held up a hand, silencing her boss. She looked at me, a long, assessing stare. The woman who had taught me urban survival, the woman I had taught to calm an infant. "The boss is right," Sophia said. "It is a risk." "It is the only way to get objective evidence," I countered, using Elena's words. "It is the only way to beat Kara Finch. You want to protect us. Get me the proof." Sophia looked at Nico, and he was rigid with anger, but he knew I was right. He gave a single, sharp nod. Sophia was gone for 2 hours. She returned at dawn. She did not say a word. She just placed the tiny data logger, now active and sealed in a sterile bag, on the kitchen table. We waited 2 days. 2 days of pacing the brownstone, of watching the news, of Nonna Rosa cooking meals we could not eat. Then the laptop pinged. "She has it," Sophia said. We huddled around the screen. The data logger was moving. We watched its path in real time. It left the port, Nico's territory, on a clean manifest. Then it stopped. It sat in a warehouse in Red Hook for 4 hours, a warehouse owned by Graham Voss. When it moved again, it was on a new truck, heading straight for St. Gabriel's Hospital. "They are swapping it right now," I whispered. "They are taking Nico's clean shipment and replacing it with the poison." "I have more," Sophia said. She clicked a file, a video, grainy, black and white, from a security camera. "My source is inside Voss's warehouse. He's not just a developer. He's running Lucas Serra's operation." The video showed men in Voss Industries uniforms, repackaging the formula, slapping new labels on the boxes, the fake quick response codes. "We had it. We had the entire chain of evidence." "It is time," I said. "Dr. Patel, Elena." The hospital board convened an emergency press meeting. It was not a press conference. It was a crisis management session, but I had already told Elena, who told a few trusted reporters. When I arrived with Dr. Patel, the lobby of St. Gabriel's was chaos. Cameras, microphones, shouted questions. Dr. Reena Patel, a woman of pure steel, stepped up to the podium. I stood beside her. "This morning," Dr. Patel began, her voice ringing with authority, "a brave member of my staff, Nurse Aria Collins, brought definitive proof of a criminal conspiracy to endanger the children of this hospital." She clicked a remote. The screen behind her lit up. Exhibit 1, a falsified shipping manifest with a forged quick response code. She showed the two codes side by side. Exhibit 2, video from inside the warehouse of Graham Voss, showing his employees tampering with sealed medical supplies. Gasps rippled through the room. And Exhibit 3, the real-time data log from a tracker planted by my staff. She brought up the map. It shows the clean shipment being diverted and the contaminated shipment being delivered. This was not an accident. This was a deliberate, malicious act. The room exploded. Aria Collins," a reporter yelled. "Who were they targeting?" Before I could answer, a new voice cut through the noise. She was. The crowd parted. Assistant District Attorney Kara Finch marched through the lobby, flanked by 2 uniformed New York Police Department officers. Her face was a mask of public outrage. "This is a shocking breach," Finch announced, her voice aimed at the cameras. "This hospital and this nurse have endangered us all." "What?" I said, stepping forward. "Aria Collins," Kara Finch said, her eyes glittering with victory. "You are under arrest." The room went silent. "For what?" Dr. Patel demanded. "For tampering with evidence," Finch said, smiling. "For illegally accessing hospital logistics, for conspiring with known organized crime elements to falsify data and frame a legitimate businessman like Graham Voss." The officers moved toward me, handcuffs out. This was her move. She was spinning it. She was making me the criminal. "Wait," I said. My voice was shaking, but I held up my hand. I reached into my pocket. I pulled out the secure, encrypted burner phone Nico had given me. I pressed the single button on its side. A red light glowed. I was live, not on one network, on all of them. Nico's back-end system was pushing the feed everywhere. I held the phone up, my face filling the screen. "My name is Aria Collins," I said, my voice finding the strength I used during a code blue. "I am a pediatric intensive care unit nurse at St. Gabriel's." This. I turned the camera to a stunned Kara Finch. "Is Assistant District Attorney Kara Finch. She is attempting to arrest me. She's arresting me because I exposed a plot to poison infants at this hospital." Finch's smile faltered. "This is an unauthorized recording." "She is arresting me," I continued, turning the camera back to myself, "because she is protecting the man responsible. Graham Voss. She's using the Child Protective Services system to silence me, to take my son. She's using the police to cover up for the men who tried to kill babies." I looked directly into the lens. My voice did not waver. "I am a mother and I am a nurse. I hold babies. You." I looked at Finch. "Hold power. And you are using that power to protect the men who profit from poison. Do not let her do this." The officers stopped. They looked at Finch, then at the sea of phone cameras now pointed at them. The live stream was out. The narrative was mine. Kara Finch's face was white with fury. She backed away, spitting at her officers to secure the scene, but she was trapped. She had lost. The public war was over. The private one was about to begin. We were back at the brownstone, The adrenaline was fading, leaving me shaking. Nico's phone rang. He listened, his face carved from ice. He did not speak. He just hung up. "Luca Serra," he said. "What did he want?" Sophia asked. "A trade," Nico said. "He knows he has lost the public battle. Finch is radioactive. Voss is lawyering up. Luca is cutting his losses. He wants a ceasefire." "What kind of ceasefire?" I asked, my blood cold. "Pier 12, tonight, midnight. He wants the original hard drive from the warehouse, the one Sophia acquired, and—" he looked at me, his eyes black. "He wants you and Milo." I stopped breathing. "He wants to kill us, to clean up the loose ends." "No," Nico said. "It is worse. He wants to show me he can take you. He wants me to hand you over. He says if I do, he will personally guarantee the Child Protective Services case vanishes. It is a lie. It is an ambush." Sophia checked her weapon. "It is a sniper setup. 100%, Mayday, we do not go." "We are not going," Nico said, his voice absolute. "Yes," I said, "we are." They both stared at me. "Arya, no," Nico said. "He wants a trap," I said, my mind racing. "Fine, we will spring it, but we will not be the only ones there." I looked at Nico. "That wrong number I texted, your internal code, does it still work?" He nodded, confused. "And Elena," I said, "she is not compromised. She is the New York Police Department. She is the real system." Nico's eyes widened as he understood. "You are calling them both." "He wants a war," I said, picking up Milo's diaper bag. "He gets one." Pier 12 was a graveyard of rusting equipment. The wind off the East River was sharp, cutting through my jacket, carrying the smell of salt and diesel. We were exposed. Nico stood in the center of the pier, illuminated by a single, sickly yellow floodlight. I was 10 feet behind him, holding Milo, who was strapped tightly to my chest in a carrier. Sophia was somewhere in the darkness. I could not see her, and that was the point. "You came." "Nico?" Luca Serra's voice echoed from the shadows. He stepped out, flanked by 2 large men. He was young, arrogant, and wearing a coat that probably cost as much as my car. "I am surprised, and you brought the package." He leered at me. "You have your terms." "Luca," Nico said. His voice was calm, but his hands were coiled into fists. "Where is your guarantee?" "My guarantee," Luca laughed, "is that you are standing on my pier, now. The drive, and the girl, and the baby." As he spoke, I saw it, the flash of light I had been waiting for. High on a crane, a lens. The sniper. The red dot appeared, just as it had in the garage. It danced on Nico's chest. "Now," I whispered. I fumbled with my phone, my movements deliberately panicked. I texted the wrong number, first Pier 12, sniper, crane, fire. Then I texted Elena Pier 12, hostage situation, shots fired, active sniper. I hit send on both. "I will take the baby," Luca said, stepping forward. "No," Nico said. "The drive for our exit, that was the deal." The deal changed. "I will take him, I will." A new figure stumbled out from behind a stack of shipping containers. My heart stopped. Derek. He was a wreck. His clothes were torn. He was sweating in the cold night air, and his eyes were wide with terror. "Arya, please, just give me the baby. They said they would clear my debt. They said we could go." He reached for Milo, his hands shaking so violently he could not keep them still. This was the man I had once loved, the father of my child. He was pathetic. He was weak, and he was willing to sell his own son for $50,000. Any pity I had left for him evaporated. It turned to ice. "Get away from him, Derek," I commanded. Luca sighed, bored. "This is very dramatic, but I am finished." He nodded, almost imperceptibly, toward the crane. A high-velocity crack split the night. Nico did not wait. He moved. He shoved me and Milo sideways, crashing us both hard onto the wet ground, and covered our bodies with his own. He grunted, a sharp intake of breath. "Nico!" I screamed. I was pinned under him. "I'm fine," he hissed, his voice tight with pain. Side, grazed. I twisted, my nurse's instincts taking over. I ripped his jacket open, blood, a dark, spreading stain on his white shirt. It was a through-and-through graze, but it was deep, and it was bleeding fast. Pressure, I yelled. I fumbled in the diaper bag. No gauze. I pulled out a clean cotton burp cloth and jammed it against the wound. Hold this hard, I need tape. Another shot. Ping! The bullet ricocheted off the container just above our heads. Then, a different sound. A suppressed, quiet thwip-thwip from the darkness. Sophia. A high, choked scream echoed from the crane. A dark shape toppled over the edge. Falling, landing with a sickening final thud on the concrete below. The sniper was down. At that exact second, the world exploded. Floodlights, sirens. New York Police Department, do not move hands in the air. Elena Ruiz, in a tactical vest, led a team of officers onto the pier, weapons drawn. Luca Serra's arrogant smile vanished. His head whipped around, looking for an escape. But the entrance to the pier was blocked. 3 black armored sport utility vehicles. Nico's men had sealed the exit. My trap, it had worked. I had brought the law, and I had brought the Mafia to the same place at the same time. Luca and his men were cuffed. Derek was on his knees, weeping. It was over. Or so I thought. A new car screeched onto the pier. Kara Finch stormed out, her face a mask of purple rage. What is the meaning of this, Officer Ruiz? What have you done? Release that man, she pointed at Luca. Assistant District Attorney Finch, Elena said, her voice calm. This is an active crime scene. Now please step back. I'm directing this scene, Finch shrieked. I have a warrant for her. She pointed a shaking finger at me. A warrant, Elena said. Excellent. A news van, the same one from the hospital, pulled up, its camera light flooding the scene. They had followed Elena's call. Read it, Elena commanded. What? Finch sputtered. Read the warrant, no, RT counselor, Elena said, gesturing to the live camera. On camera, justify to the city why you are arresting a kidnapping victim. At midnight, at gunpoint, on a pier. Justify it. Finch was trapped. She held up the paper, her voice shaking as she tried to read the legal jargon. Elena stepped closer, her voice loud for the microphone. Is this the same warrant you filed, counselor? Or is this a new one? Did you file it before or after you received the call from Graham Voss, whose name is also on this pier's shipping manifests? Kara Finch snapped. I did not. I only guided the Child Protective Services complaint. I was establishing a pattern of negligence. She froze. The words hung in the cold, salty air. She had said it. On camera. She had admitted to weaponizing the system, to coordinating the attack. Elena smiled. A cold, sharp smile. Thank you. Assistant District Attorney, I think we have enough. The wind howled, whipping my hair across my face. I stood up, my legs shaking. I was covered in grime, river water and Nico's blood. Milo was strapped to my chest, his eyes wide, but he was silent. He was safe. I listened. I could hear his heartbeat. I could hear my own. Thump, 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 thump. Both steady, both still beating. Nico was leaning heavily against a container, Sophia wrapping my medical tape around the burp cloth on his side. He looked up at me as I approached. His eyes, usually so dark and controlled, were raw. They were filled with something I had never seen before. Ah. You won, he rasped, the word tasting like blood. I shook my head. We survived. I stood in front of him. The power dynamic, the one that had defined us since that first night, was gone. I was not the victim in the closet. He was not the dark savior. We were just two people, bleeding on a pier. Nico, I said, He met my gaze. Aria. If you want to be in my life, I said, the words coming out hard and clear. If this is, whatever this becomes, there are new rules. He waited, his breath catching. You have to learn to protect without chains. I am not your property. I am not a liability you manage. I am not a package to be traded. You protect with me, not for me. Do you understand? He held my gaze. The wind screamed around us. He saw the nurse. He saw the mother. He saw the woman who had just brought down his enemies with a text message. He nodded, a slow, painful, deliberate movement. Deal? The aftermath of Pier 12 was not a clean break. It was a messy, slow unraveling. The world did not just snap back into place, but the pieces, when they settled, fell into a new, more honest alignment. The storm that had centered on me and Milo broke over the city. Luca Serra, Graham Voss, and Kara Finch became the new obsession of the 24-hour news cycle. The camera footage from my phone, combined with Elena's testimony and the mountain of evidence from Dr. Patel, was undeniable. Luca and Voss were arraigned on a spectacular list of charges: conspiracy, racketeering, aggravated assault, and, most damningly, public endangerment for the formula plot. Kara Finch was finished. Her admission on the pier, the blatant, recorded proof that she had guided the Child Protective Services complaint, ended her career. She was indicted for corruption, evidence tampering, and abuse of power. The system, for once, was forced to eat its own. In a move that Elena called as rare as a unicorn, the Child Protective Services Administration issued a formal public apology to me. They cited malicious external interference and weaponization of their protocols. My file was not just closed, it was expunged. It had never existed. In the middle of this media firestorm, I had one last piece of personal wreckage to clear: Derek. His lawyer contacted mine. The offer was simple. Derek would sign a full, irrevocable termination of his parental rights. He would disappear from Milo's life, and his name would not be on the birth certificate. In exchange, the $50,000 debt he owed to Graham Voss's associates would not be pursued. I sat with the papers on the kitchen table in the brownstone. Nico was there, his arm in a clean sling, the stitches on his side healing. He watched me, but he said nothing. "He's selling his son," I whispered. "He is," Nico agreed. "You could stop this. You could make his debt go away without this." Nico shook his head. "This is not my business, Arya. This is not about my money or my influence. This is about your son. Whatever you decide, I will enforce. It is your choice." My choice. He had kept his word. Protection without chains. I looked at the signature line. I thought of Derek on the pier, his shaking hands, his desperate eyes, willing to trade Milo for his own skin. My son deserved better than a father who was a ghost, a liability, a constant threat. Peace was worth more than a name on a piece of paper. I signed away the last remnant of my old life, and I did it for the peace of Milo's future. The brownstone, which had been a fortress and a prison, returned to being just a house. It became quiet. The dark-suited men at the door vanished, replaced by the smell of Nona Rosa's baking. She found me one afternoon, staring out the window, watching the rain. Milo was asleep on my chest. She pressed something cool and metallic into my hand. I opened it. It was a small, silver cross on a delicate chain. I do not really... I started, not knowing how to refuse politely. "Bah," she said, waving a hand. "It is not for religion. It is for habit. When you are afraid, you need something to touch, something to fidget with. It reminds your hands that you are still here." I closed my hand around it. She was right. It was a focal point, a small, cold anchor in a world that still felt tilted. Life had to resume. St. Gabriel's Hospital, its reputation now spotless, welcomed me back. They had issued a glowing statement about my integrity and courage. Dr. Reena Patel, to no one's surprise, had been promoted. She was now the head of hospital-wide compliance, a position she had clearly been born to hold. I went back to my night shifts. I put on my scrubs, which smelled like industrial bleach. I went to the break room. The coffee was still terrible. It was the most normal, most beautiful thing in the world. I went home, but home was still the brownstone. My apartment was a crime scene, a memory I was not ready to revisit, and Milo was with Nona Rosa. Nico kept his promise. There were no more bodyguards, no more armored cars. No one followed me to the hospital. There was only what he called invisible protection. He gave me a new phone, a simple, streamlined device. There is one number in it, he had explained. Mine. If you are ever, for any reason, afraid, you call, I will come. It was a safety net, not a cage. We existed in a strange, domestic limbo. When he was recovering, I was working. We orbited each other around Milo and Nona Rosa. One night, I came home from a 12-hour shift, exhausted to the bone. The house was dark, except for the kitchen. He was in there, sitting at the table. A large, flat pizza box was open between us. It was not a date. It was two people, awake at 3 a.m. I sat down. I took a slice of thin-crust pizza. It was cold. How was the shift, he asked. Loud, Mom, down. I said, we had a new admission, a respiratory case. Milo, woken by my arrival, was cooing in a bassinet nearby. I picked him up, sleepy and warm, and held him on my lap. He was fascinated by the pizza box. I gave him a tiny drop of tomato sauce on his finger. He promptly, gleefully grabbed Nico's hand and smeared the sauce across his knuckles. I froze. Nico looked at his hand, now covered in ketchup. He looked at Milo. He did not get angry. He did not pull away. He just looked normal. He looked like a regular person, slightly confused by a baby. He used a napkin to wipe his hand and then offered Milo his finger, which the baby immediately tried to eat. He has a good grip, Nico observed, his voice neutral. I watched them, the Mafia boss and my son, and in that moment, he was not the man who had brought gunfire into my life. He was just Nico. That weekend, I finally felt strong enough to write to Elena. I sat at the kitchen table, the silver cross heavy around my neck. I typed thank you. I deleted it. I typed I owe you. I deleted that too. Finally, I wrote what was true. Elena, thank you for believing that a single mother is still a citizen and not just a pawn on someone else's game board. Thank you for being the part of the system that actually works. I hit send. That night, after my shift, I stood in the bathroom. The lights were bright. The mirror was unforgiving. The bruises on my arm from where Nico had shoved me to the ground on the pier were fading, turning a sickly yellow-green. I touched my side, just above my hip, a thin, red line. It was where the medical tape, the tape I'd used to bind his wound, had ripped my skin when I pulled it off in the ambulance. A tiny, insignificant injury, a souvenir. I looked at my reflection, at the fading bruises, the faint scar, the dark circles under my eyes. We survived. The thought was not triumphant. It was quiet. It was a fact. We were still here. I walked into the study. Nico was there, reading. He looked up when I entered. I am moving out next week, I said. He did not look surprised. He just nodded. I have had your old apartment cleaned. The door is new. The locks are military grade. Thank you, I said, but I am finding a new place. He stood up. Arya. No, I said, holding up a hand. I was not going to be intimidated, and I was not going to be argued with. I had earned this. I am grateful. Nico, you saved my life. You saved Milo's life. I will never, ever forget that. But I cannot live here, in your house, under your protection, owing you. I stepped closer. We had a deal on the pier. I remember, he said, his voice low. I am holding you to it. If you are in my life, if this is anything, it is because I choose it. Not because I am in your debt. Not because I am scared. Not because you are protecting me. Only because I choose to be here. I was defining my freedom. I was taking back my own life. He looked at me, and I saw the calculation in his eyes. He was seeing the woman who had set the trap, the nurse who had collected the evidence, the mother who had signed the papers. He nodded, a slow, deliberate movement. It was not a concession. It was an agreement. It felt like a vow. I found a new apartment. It is not a penthouse, and it is not a fortress. It is a small, two-bedroom walk-up in Park Slope with good morning light and floors that creak. It is close to the hospital, and it is close to the park. It is, for the first time in my life, a place I chose completely on my own. Nico's men helped me move. They were efficient, silent, and they did not stay. The brownstone, with its ghosts and its garlic-scented comfort, already feels like a different lifetime. This morning is a Sunday. It is my first day off in almost 2 weeks. I wake up, not to the sound of my alarm, and not to the sound of Milo crying. I wake up to the smell of good coffee, the rich, dark, expensive kind. I pad out of my bedroom, pulling my robe tighter. My heart, which for so long would have been hammering at the thought of a man in my apartment, is calm. He is standing in my new, small living room by the window that overlooks the street. He's not in a suit. He's wearing dark jeans and a simple, gray Henley, the sleeves pushed up to his elbows. He is holding Milo. My son, my beautiful, resilient boy, is in his arms, his back pressed against Nico's chest. They are watching a garbage truck rumble down the street below. I stop. I wait for it. I wait for the familiar, cold spike of adrenaline, the protective, territorial lurch of my son, my space, my life. It does not come. The morning light floods the room, catching the dust motes dancing in the air. All I feel is a slow, quiet warmth. It is not passion. It is not electricity. It is peace. Nico must have heard me. He turns, his face softer than I have ever seen it. He's fascinated by the garbage truck, he says, his voice low. He is a boy, I reply, smiling. They are required to like large, loud machinery. I walk past him into the kitchen, which is really just an alcove, and pour myself a mug of the coffee he made. It is perfect. When I turn back, he is watching me. He is not moved, but the quiet energy in the room has shifted. He seems hesitant. It is an expression I am not used to seeing on his face. I have something for you, he says. He shifts Milo to his other hip and reaches into his pocket. He pulls out a small, insignificant piece of plastic, an old SIM card. I stare at it, confused. What is this? It is the number, he says. The one you dialed that night. The wrong number. I take it from him. It is cold against my palm, the piece of plastic that detonated my entire life. Why are you giving this to me? I thought it was a burner, a trap. It was not, he says. He turns back to the window, watching the street. Not really. It was my sister's. My breath catches. Your sister. Gianna, he says. Her name sounds heavy and old in his mouth. My younger sister. She passed away last year. He's silent for a long moment, and I do not dare interrupt. She had a baby, he continues, his voice flat, scrubbed of emotion. A little girl. There were complications, postpartum. I am a nurse. I know that word. I know the dark, sudden things it can mean, hemorrhage, sepsis, preeclampsia. She was scared, Nico says, his voice now a whisper. She was trying to be strong. She was married to a man who did not see her. She kept saying she was fine. She did not want to be a bother. By the time we realized how sick she was, it was too late. We lost her. He finally looks at me, and his eyes are not the eyes of a mafia boss. They are the eyes of a man who failed. I kept her phone, he says. I could not let it go. I kept the number active. I paid the bill every month. I put it in a drawer. I could not turn it off. He pauses, and his gaze becomes more intense. The night you texted, Aria, the night you dialed her number by mistake, it was the 1-year anniversary of her death, to the hour. The air in the room is suddenly very thin. It was not a random coincidence. I was sitting in my study, he says, in the dark, holding that phone, thinking about how I had failed her, how I had not seen what was right in front of me. And then it lit up, he whispers. A number I did not know. Your first text, the one you do not remember sending. Which door? How many? My own security code. I thought it was a trap, a setup by Luca. But then, he says, taking a step closer. Before I could even react, your second text came through. Help. He is here. He looks down at Milo, who is watching him with wide, trusting eyes. I was waiting. Aria, he confesses, and his voice is rough with a pain that is a year old. I was sitting in that darkness, waiting for someone to say help so that I could finally get it right this time. I understand. In a blinding, painful flash, I understand everything. The 4-7-8 rhythm, the skin-to-skin contact, the impossibly gentle way he held Milo that first morning. His hands so sure, the almost desperate, violent need to protect us. He was not trying to possess my son. He was trying to save his sister's ghost. Milo, suddenly bored with the window, twists in Nico's arms. He makes a happy, gurgling sound and reaches out. His small fist bypasses me and grabs for the silver chain around my neck, Nona Rosa's cross. He yanks it, giggling as the silver flashes in the light. Nico smiles, a real, unguarded smile, and gently untangles his son's fingers from the chain. He looks at me, and I look at him, and in that quiet, sunlit room, I know that I am finally, truly safe, not just from snipers, but from him. I set my coffee mug down on the counter. My hands are steady. Nico, I say. He turns his full attention to me. Aria. I am not Gianna, I say softly, but my voice is firm. I am not a ghost. You cannot save her by saving me. I know, he says. So, if we are going to do this, I say, gesturing to the three of us, to the coffee on my counter, to this life, if you are going to stand in my living room on a Sunday morning, there are new rules. He nods, accepting. Tell me. 1, I hold up a finger. No more deception, no half-truths, no omissions, no protecting me from information. You tell me everything, even the parts you think I cannot handle. I am a pediatric intensive care unit nurse. I promise you, I have seen worse. No deception, he agrees. 2, you do not make decisions for me or for Milo, ever. You do not decide what is safer. You do not decide what is best. You present the facts, and we make the decision as partners. Partners, he repeats. He seems to be testing the word, seeing how it fits. He nods again. Partners. And 3, I say, taking a breath, this is the one that matters most. If this world of yours, the logistics, the rest of it, if it ever becomes too much for me and my son, if I ever tell you to go, you go. No argument, no shadows on my street, no invisible protection. You will respect my choice, and you will let us go. This is the test. This is where he proves he understands the difference between protection and a cage. He looks at me for a long, silent minute. I can see the conflict in his eyes, the deep, primal instinct to hold, to guard, to never, ever let go. And then he breaks the stare, he nods. No deception. No, he confirms. No decisions without you, and you will always be free to go. He says it, and the most terrifying, most wonderful part is that I believe him. Our future is not a storybook. It is not an explosion of passion. I go to work. I hold sick children. I fight for their lives. I come home, and my apartment smells like my laundry soap and baby powder. Nico's life continues. He runs his company. He negotiates contracts. He uses his power in boardrooms, not on peers. He's cleaning up his own darkness, making it as bloodless as he can. I know he does it for us. Nona Rosa visits. She declares my new kitchen a closet, but fills it with biscotti and lasagna anyway. She pinches Milo's cheeks and tells Nico he is too skinny. On Saturdays, I take Milo to the park. He's learning to walk, his steps unsteady, his arms outstretched for balance as he chases a bright red ball. It is a life. It is a real, complicated, beautiful life. Have we kissed? No. But last week, we were crossing 7th Avenue. The light was changing, and a cab ran the yellow. Nico did not pull me. He did not grab my arm. He just reached out and laced his fingers through mine. His hand was warm. He held it all the way to the other side of the street. Kindness does not burn like a wildfire, but it keeps you warm for a very, very long time. Tonight, I am sitting on my sofa. Milo is fast asleep in his crib, his breathing soft and even. Nico is in the kitchen making us coffee. I pull out my phone. I still have the old SIM card, Gianna's card. I slide it into my old cracked phone. I power it on. I open the text message thread. Which door? How many? Help! He is here. 4771. Stairwell B. Now. My fingers are steady as I type a new message into the old, haunted thread. We're okay. I hit send. I send it to her, to the ghost, to the number that saved me. I put the phone down. A minute later, my new phone buzzes on the table. A message from Nico, who is 20 feet away. I open it. You chose? I'll follow. I look up. He is standing in the kitchen doorway, holding 2 mugs. He's smiling. I smile back. Protection is not a leash, not when you are both holding the lock. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I am always so curious to know where you are all listening from. So please comment below and share what part of the world you are in. It is amazing to see how far these stories travel. If you enjoyed this, please consider subscribing to my channel, Mafia Boss Stories, and do not forget to like this video. And if you really want to support the channel, hit that hype button to help this story reach even more listeners.